What if the most famous shipwreck in history wasn't an accident, but a hit job to enslave the global economy? Because three of the richest men in America were on the Titanic, and they were all against the creation of a central bank. And the man who owned the ship canceled his ticket at the last minute. Then 1 year later, the Federal Reserve was created, which has controlled the dollar ever since. But there was a specific law that was written to undo all of it, wipe out all debt, remove the IRS, return to the gold standard, and replace the entire financial system. And the announcement for it was scheduled for September 11th, 2001 at 10 a.m. But at 8:46, the exact same day, the first plane hit and it got canceled. So in this video, I'm going to show you all of the connections from the Titanic in 1912, a law buried on 9/11, to what's happening right now with XRP, and why 2026 might be the year the whole system finally resets. So comment 777 if you're ready for this information, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So let's start off at the very beginning. In 1912, most people think the Titanic was just a tragic accident, a ship that hit an iceberg. But here's what they don't want you to know. The Titanic was owned by a man with the name John Pierpont Morgan, and you probably know him as JP Morgan, the same name that's on one of the biggest banks in the world today, Chase Bank. But back in 1912, JP Morgan didn't just run a bank, he had built an entire empire, and one of his companies was a shipping company with the name International Mercantile Marine, and it built the Titanic. And this was one of Morgan's favorite ships. He had a private suite, personal deck, cigar holder built into the bathtub. He was living like Scarface, and he was supposed to be on the very first ship, but he canceled last minute saying he was sick. But he wasn't sick at all. He was actually at a resort in France enjoying massages and sulfur baths, as you know, the Scarface banker of his era would. And this is where it gets absolutely insane, because the three wealthiest men in America were on that ship at the time. First, the richest man in America, John Jacob Astor. He had a net worth of around $2.7 billion in today's money. Then Benjamin Guggenheim, one of the most powerful people in mining globally. And the last guy, Isidore Strass, the co-owner of Macy's, and combined they had billions in today's money, and all three went down with the Titanic. What a coincidence, right? Well, every single one of them, they opposed the creation of the Federal Reserve. They didn't want money backed by paper promises. They wanted it tied to gold. So something real, something tangible. And the one man who stood to gain the most from a central bank, well, the man whose entire empire depended on controlling the money supply, that was JP Morgan, the guy who owned the ship, who canceled his ticket last minute and was relaxing in France while the three biggest opponents and the wealthiest men in America sank to the bottom of the Atlantic. And coincidentally enough, there weren't enough lifeboats for everybody. Now, could this be just a random coincidence or a sinister plan that goes much deeper than the current tale of the Titanic will ever tell you? Because 2 years before the Titanic even sailed, something happened on a private island off the coast of Georgia that changed the entire world forever. On Jekyll Island in November of 1910, 6 men arrived at a train station in New Jersey, one at a time. They boarded a private rail car and told everyone they were going on a duck hunting trip, but they weren't hunting ducks. What they did is they locked themselves in a room for 10 days and they designed what would later become the Federal Reserve System and the central bank. And when they checked into the hotel, they used first names only, no last names, no titles, so nobody would know who they were. And now we eventually found out who these men were. JP Morgan's right-hand man was in that room. So was Rockefeller's personal banker and the assistant secretary of the US Treasury, and the man who actually wrote the entire blueprint for what became the Federal Reserve. So the most powerful banking families in America, all in one room on a private island. And what they built in those 10 days became the Federal Reserve Act, signed into law by President Woodrow Wilson on December 23rd, 1913. So, November of 1910, 6 bankers secretly designed the Federal Reserve on a private island. April of 1912, the 3 wealthiest opponents of that plan go down with the Titanic on a ship owned by one of those same bankers. Got it. Then on December of 1913, the Federal Reserve Act is signed into law. And they didn't even publicly admit the Jekyll Island meeting happened until the 1930s. You can read it in the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Now, 70 years later, a group of American farmers started pushing back because they were losing their land, and the courts eventually ruled that the banks had used fraudulent contracts and illegal lending practices to take everything from them. So they fought back, and the fight became the foundation for what we now call NESARA, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. And what NESARA promised would change the world forever. Forgiveness of all credit card debt, mortgage debt, and banking debt, shutting down the IRS completely, getting rid of income tax permanently, and creating a brand new US Treasury currency backed by gold, silver, platinum, and other precious metals, all to eliminate the Federal Reserve System and restore financial privacy. Now, this proposal was real, and you can find it online, and the theory is that Bill Clinton signed NESARA into law in 2000, not publicly. Instead, it was done in secret with a gag order placed on everyone who knew about it. Politicians, judges, banking officers, all of them ordered to deny it even existed. And when Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone was reportedly about to go public about this, his small passenger plane crashed, killing him, his wife, and his daughter. Now, the plane crash is documented, it's real. Whether Clinton signed the law, I'm not 100% sure, but all this just seems a little too interesting to just be a coincidence, especially with what I'm about to share with you. Because there's some old documents from a woman who claimed she had insider contacts with the US military and the Supreme Court, and she said that by September of 2001, NESARA had been fully approved and they had the green light to announce it to the world. Then on September 9th, Congress approved the public announcement, and on September 10th, George Bush's father, who was also a former president, moved into the White House to attempt to stop the announcement. But September 11th, 2001, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Alan Greenspan, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, was scheduled to go on live television to announce the brand new US Treasury bank system, debt forgiveness for every single American citizen, and the end of the IRS at 10 a.m. But then the first plane hit the North Tower at 8:46 a.m., 74 minutes before the announcement, and the banking computers that were set to initiate the new Treasury system, well, she claimed that they were located on floors 1 and 2 of the North Tower. Now, just 6 weeks before 9/11, a real estate developer named Larry Silverstein signed a 99-year lease on the entire World Trade Center. And at that time, it was the biggest real estate deal in New York City history. And from the day he signed that lease, every morning Silverstein had breakfast at Windows on the World, the restaurant on the 107th floor of the North Tower. But on September 11th, he wasn't there. Well, he said his wife insisted that he went to a dermatologist appointment that morning, and he skipped breakfast at the tower, coincidentally enough. And when the towers came down, Larry Silverstein walked away with a $4.55 billion insurance settlement. Does that sound familiar? Like the man who owned the Titanic canceling his ticket last minute, watching from France while the three biggest opponents sank to the bottom of the Titanic? Well, the connections are there, and if you believe them or not, well, that's your decision. But either way, the Federal Reserve is still here, the IRS is still here, your debt is still here, and the system that 6 men designed in secret on Jekyll Island in 1910 is still running your money in 2026. And every single time someone has tried to change that, they get stopped. Now, one of the biggest promises of NESARA was to return to the gold standard, real money backed by gold. And in February of 2025, Trump said on Air Force One, "We are going to Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there. And if it isn't, we're going to be very upset."
We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there.
And Elon Musk also made a post on X about it. He said he wanted to live stream it on camera so every American could see the gold with their own eyes. And then, nothing. Trump dropped it. Musk went silent. No visit, no live stream, no audit, no explanation. And this is interesting because the last time Fort Knox was publicly and independently audited was in 1974, over 50 years ago. And the US government says there are 147 million ounces of gold in there, but the gold is still valued on the government's books at roughly $42 per ounce, a price set in 1973. And the actual market price of gold right now is well over $4,000. So officially, the gold is worth around $6.2 billion on paper, but at actual market price, it's worth well over $680 billion. Now, Why would Trump and Elon Musk make so much noise about Fort Knox and then suddenly go completely silent? Well, I'll let you tell me your thoughts in the comments below, but Judy Shelton, Trump's former pick for the Federal Reserve Board, pushed a very specific proposal back in 2024, which is a 50-year US Treasury bond convertible into gold to be launched by Trump on July 4th of 2026, the 250th anniversary of American independence. And when asked about it, she said the gold standard could work in a cryptocurrency sort of way.
I like the idea of a gold standard. I mean, it could be used in a very cryptocurrency way.
That literally came from Trump's own pick for the Fed. And it makes sense because think about what NESARA actually needed to work. Its goal was to replace the Federal Reserve with a new treasury system, return to a gold-backed money, and create a way to move that value globally between any countries, any currencies at virtually no cost. And that third piece is the most important right now, because without it, the whole thing falls completely apart. You can back the dollar with gold all you want, but if you can't move it across borders in real time, the system doesn't work. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you know we're standing on the bridge of something massive, because the old global payment system, SWIFT, got updated in November of 2025 to the new ISO 222 messaging standard. And the Bank of England said they will release the final guidelines for this new global payment system this month in April. And on top of that, look at everything else that's happened. On March 17th of 2026, XRP was officially classified as a digital commodity by the SEC and the CFTC. Well, same as Bitcoin. 7 XRP ETFs are now live in America, so Wall Street can buy XRP through the stock market right now, and Goldman Sachs is already holding over $150 million in XRP funds. Ripple got a national trust bank charter from the OCC in December of 2025. No crypto company had ever done that before. They can now operate as a federally regulated bank. And then Deutsche Bank, one of the biggest banks in the world, is integrating Ripple's technology for cross-border payments, and Ripple is applied for a Federal Reserve master account, which would give them direct access to the Fed's own payment rails, meaning Ripple wouldn't need to go through traditional banks at all. So the infrastructure is being built, and a lot of news. It's good, even though it doesn't look like that on the price chart right now with the volatility, because of how market cycles operate. In these times where infrastructure is being built while the price looks bearish is exactly where the smart investors are setting themselves up for the next big move. Because the last time the setup looked exactly like this, with the quiet accumulation during a bear market while the fundamentals were building behind the scenes, was when XRP was around the 50-cent region before it exploded to over $3. And if you want to be on the right side of that move when it happens again, you need a better strategy than just holding and hoping. And so that's exactly why we built the Altcoin Pro Accelerator, because knowing that a reset is coming is not enough. You need the blueprint to operate during the Great Reset. And right now, while most people are watching their portfolios bleed out during the bear market, the investors inside of the Altcoin Pro Accelerator program are earning passive yield on their XRP and their other idle altcoins every single month without losing sleep to the market volatility when they see it drop 5, 10, 15, 20% in their portfolio. And every single week, what we do is we jump on live calls where we break down exactly what we're looking at in the market, what we're buying, what we're selling, entries, exits, and we do live Q&A so you can get your questions answered in real time. So what I did for you is I put together a free training and an entire blueprint that walks you through the entire SGS system that we have, how to secure your portfolio, how to earn yield on your idle crypto, how to position yourself before the old system gets replaced. If you want to learn swing trading, if you want to learn day trading, and if you want to learn how to earn passive income on your crypto portfolio, then you can watch it right now by going to the first link in the description of this video, and then you can book a call with either me or an expert on my team to apply for the program. Because from the Titanic in 1912 to NESARA, what's happening right now with XRP in 2026, every thread leads to the same place, and that's the old system is breaking and the new one is already being built right underneath it. So if you get value out of videos like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you like it, share it with a friend that you think would go down the rabbit hole, and leave a comment below about what's actually happening right now, because I'm going to go even further down the rabbit hole in my next video. If you didn't see my video about Donald Trump, time travel technology, whistleblowers uncovering what's happening for the Great Awakening, check that one out after this one. It's going to pop up at the end of the screen. And as always, I will see you at the top. You know what to do. Stay bullish.